What's up guys, my name is Spartan, and in today's video guide we're going to be discussing Guardian Chips. Guardian Chips are a long-term progression system in the tower idle tower defense that basically provide indirect but high-impact economic and scaling benefits. Guardian Chips require bits, which are basically this currency here. You're able to obtain bits by basically finishing out all of these weekly chests that you get, and you can also purchase them with tokens in the actual store for the guild. But I want this guide to be your one-stop shop for everything, all of these Guardian Chips, at least the current ones that we have. Obviously, this will soon be outdated when they add whatever these three are, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to be talking about these five here: Attack, Ally, Bounty, Fetch, and Summon. So as of 2026, the optimal Guardian strategy prioritizes resource farming first, followed by coin scaling, and finally, late game combat optimization through ally and attack, basically. My goal overall for this video guide is to outline the correct chip priority, efficient upgrade path, and also usage considerations. And keep in mind, there will be timestamps down in the video description and available to see on the screen if you want to skip to a particular section of the video. And with that, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling here, starting out with the Guardian Chip priority order. So when you first unlock the guild content and the milestones, you are able to see two chips. You have access to Attack and you have access to Ally. Bounty, Fetch, and Summon will all be available to purchase basically in the actual guild store. You can see right here, we can buy currently Fetch and Summon right now for this guild season. I'm sure that in the future they will add other Guardian Chips, so like I said, this is just going to be based on the current stuff that we have right now, given version 27.3.2. And with that, the current highest priority chip that you should consider getting is actually going to be Fetch. Fetch is so good. You can see what it says here. It says, Tower Guardian locates and retrieves hidden loot, coins, gems, metals, shards, and modules. So a ton of value here. Fetch should 100% be the first priority chip that you try to get on your new tower if you're new to the game. The reason that this is the top priority is basically just because it gives you so much stuff. You get the coins, you get gems, metals, shards, and modules. This is all super valuable stuff. The Fetch chip truly does accelerate account-wide progression rather than just improving a single stat, such as like how Bounty basically just increases your coins. It definitely gives you the highest early to mid-game return on investment overall, and I think currently in the game, this is probably the most valuable chip. Before we continue, I want to thank today's video sponsor, which is LDCloud. If you're serious about the tower idle tower defense, long farming sessions can really make or break your tower. And that's exactly why I try to farm 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The issue is 24/7 active gameplay can really take a toll on your mobile device and computer as well. That is where LDCloud comes in. LDCloud is a cloud phone service that allows you to run the game directly on your PC or mobile device without compromising your hardware or breaking the bank with your electricity bill. And as you can see on the screen, I'm able to run 2 different instances at the same time. Both of my accounts are able to farm with ease whether I'm at home or on the go. Because the game runs in the cloud, you're not keeping your PC and phone powered on all day, which helps reduce the electricity usage and cuts down on wear and tear on your devices. I've tested other cloud phone solutions before, but LDCloud definitely stands out with its stability, multi-instance support, and accessibility, especially for idle and grind-heavy games such as the Tower. LDCloud offers flexible spending plans starting for as low as $9.99. I currently have the KVIP package here with an Android 10, and I'm out of the US server. If you want to try it out, use my link in the video description and you can get a 6-hour trial for as little as 10 cents. It directly supports this channel and helps me improve my content. And with that, let's get back to the video. Next on the list, let's talk about Bounty. Bounty is also pretty good. This one used to be called Steel. They recently changed it and sort of reworked it. So now what it says is Tower Guardian places a bounty on nearby non-common enemies, causing them to grant more coins on death. So there's 3 things you can upgrade: the multiplier, the cooldown, and the targets. This one I used to use alongside Fetch, but obviously lately I've been running Summon, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Oh, and also I forgot to mention for the Fetch chip, the 3 things that you can upgrade here are basically the cooldown, the find chance, and the double find chance. So talking a little bit more about the Bounty chip here, it basically has a low impact at the early levels, but it does scale very strongly with good structured investment. It outperforms fetch in terms of just sheer coin generation at higher levels when you invest a lot of bits into it. But like I mentioned, you get a lot more other things with fetch outside of just coins. That's why this is kind of next on the list. And yeah, in terms of the next Guardian that we're going to talk about, it's going to be the Summon chip. Summon, you can see it says summons 2 enemies every second of duration that you have. During the summon duration, all enemies killed will receive a cash bonus. Yeah, the first level you just get 1 times, and then you can have up to 35 seconds for the duration, and then you can of course upgrade the cooldown if you want. The summon chip is really good. It kind of functions in a similar sort of way as like the enemy balance card. That's a good way that you can kind of think about it. Yeah, just increasing more enemies on the screen. More enemies basically equals more coins. It also potentially equals better chance that you could die. So keep in mind, if you are investing in summon, you definitely want to make sure that your survivability stats in the workshop, lab, etc. are basically in a good enough spot to warrant running the summon chip. But summon is very good. Having more enemies, having another enemy balance kind of function is super, super valuable, which is why I'm currently using it over bounty. Summon and bounty both are definitely more focused just around farming. I mean, I guess you could use fetch in tournaments if you wanted to, just to get some extra shards and stuff. But in terms of like just farming, you definitely want to use either fetch, summon, or bounty. And the last ones that we'll talk about here are just attack and ally. These ones, you know, it basically just directly improves your combat stats. So for ally, it gives you more survivability. It says it converts an enemy into an ally recovery package that can heal the tower beyond the basic maximum recovery limit. On paper, that does sound pretty okay. The issue is this chip does not correlate with galaxy compressor. So enemies that are converted into recovery packages do not end up proccing galaxy compressor. So for that reason, I basically never have used ally pretty much ever. But yeah, the 3 things you can upgrade here are the cooldown, the max recovery limit, and the recovery amount, similar to the package health stuff. And next on the list is the attack chip. This one is also kind of lackluster a little bit. Tower Guardian attacks enemies with the most missing health, dealing a percentage of their lost health as damage, 50% damage to bosses. So this one, I mean, maybe it's okay for like tournaments if you're running a glass cannon build, but I don't know. It's just kind of lackluster. I'm definitely not going to be working on either of these 2 until I get my econ ones in a good spot. That's kind of my mindset, at least. There's overall low efficiency relative to the bit cost and minimal impact outside of extreme late game optimization. These chips should be considered after economic guardians are fully developed, which is basically kind of what I just mentioned, right? Fetch, summon, and bounty. You definitely want to try to prioritize your econ chips before you start working on some of these other ones. Moving on, let's go ahead and dive into the optimal upgrade strategies for each of these chips. Starting off with fetch, the overall objective for fetch is to reach your daily premium currency caps. What this looks like, you can see the little eye at the top left of fetch. You'll click that and it will have this little drop table. In the drop table, you can see that there are basically 4 resources that are capped. They have a daily cap. And you can also see the percentage chance that you will pull some of this stuff. So the 4 things that have caps are gems, metals, common modules, and rare modules. You can see the rare module chance is very, very, very low. But you can see that with my current fetch setup, I am able to achieve all of these daily caps, which is fantastic. That is the overall goal. You want to make sure that you're able to get all of these daily caps. If nothing else, it would be great to get the metal cap and the gem cap. That's 20 free gems and 10 free metals. That alone is super, super obtainable. And by the way, for each of these 3 chips that we're about to talk about, I'm going to leave like a screenshot or something on the screen for each of these, basically diving into like the optimal path or the recommended levels for these different things. Once these caps are consistently reached, additional upgrades offer diminishing returns. At that point, you're basically just getting more coins and you're getting more of these like common shards and reroll shards, which is still valuable. But again, if you're looking for just econ and like coins specifically, the excess bits would be better spent into the other 2 that we're about to talk about. And yeah, I would just say each day, whenever you're investing in fetch, if you're following the path, great, you can do it that way. Or you can do it kind of like I did and just follow this drop down table and just periodically check on it and see, okay, cool. Am I hitting my daily gem cap, my daily metal cap, etc. But yeah, that's going to cover it for fetch. Let's go ahead and move on to bounty. All right, so moving on to bounty, I have on the picture here, you can see this is basically the first 25 upgrades that you want to do. So starting off, you want to work on developing the targets first, and then you want to do 2 clicks into the multiplier, and then do a click into the cooldown. And then you can just read the rest of this if you want, or screenshot it for yourself if you'd like. But this is sort of the optimal path that you would take if you're trying to invest in the bounty chip. And last but not least, let's go ahead and dive into the summon chip. All right, so in terms of the summon chip, you can see I personally haven't really done it this way. I've sort of just done my own thing. So again, just kind of ignore it. But this is the optimal path. Again, the first 25 upgrades that you want to do. Starting off with duration, doing a click in cooldown, 3 clicks in duration, 1 click in cooldown, 2 clicks in duration, 1 click in cooldown, etc. So the big thing with summon is trying to get as much uptime as humanly possible. I will say, if you are at a place where you're struggling in terms of like maxing out your entire workshop during the run, you can absolutely do 1 click into the cash bonus just to get a little bit more cash bonus if you need that. But in terms of the effective path, in terms of like coin econ, the overall best return on investment is by doing mostly the duration and cooldown, and then eventually, if you want to, focusing on the cash bonus. I personally have no need for the cash bonus. I'm not using it in tournaments for project funding. That would be the only possible reason I would do it on my big account. Even Spartan Jr., my baby account, is able to fully max my entire workshop during the run, so I have no need personally to basically do the cash bonus. And also, kind of like I mentioned with summon before, the summon efficiency is directly tied to your tower's survivability, so upgrading too much into summon early on basically reduces your overall returns because you could die a little bit early. So you want to make sure, like I mentioned previously, you want to have enough survivability if you're running EHP, or damage if you're running glass cannon, to basically be able to handle having all of those extra enemies. Because like I said, at max duration, it's 35 seconds, so that's basically 70 extra enemies at max level. So just, you have to keep that in mind when you're sort of looking into this. Now let's talk about the cooldown optimizations. So this is also a pretty big consideration because although there is an effective path for each of these different chips, you want to be able to consider your overall situation regarding like ultimate weapons, golden bot, anything that you have synced up, right? So ideally, the best practice in terms of upgrading the cooldowns specifically for these different chips is, in theory, you would love to have a sync with your golden tower and other coin producing ultimate weapons. For example, if I have a 50-second black hole sync, I would probably want my summon chip to be at 100 seconds so that I would have a 2-to-1 sync with my black hole. Likewise, if my golden tower and death wave and black hole were all synced at 140 seconds, I would basically want my cooldown for summon to be 70 seconds to get the best possible results. I don't even know if summon goes down that far, but I'm just using that as a simple math example. If, for example, you have permanent golden tower, permanent black hole, and basically a permanent death wave, if you're in that stage of the game, kind of like my main account, you would then want to sync up your summon chip and your fetch chip and your bounty chip with your golden bot for the best results. So now that we've talked about the optimal upgrade strategies for each of these chips, let's go ahead and dive into the Guardian slot management. So in terms of the current available slots, we have 2 available that you can get. You get 1 for free when you unlock the guilds, and you get 1 that you have to buy with bits. So before heavily investing in one particular chip, it would be super beneficial if you went ahead and picked up the second Guardian slot. It would be super beneficial if you went ahead and picked up the second chip slot. Getting the second chip slot is just super good because it allows you to have basically 2 sort of areas that you can double dip from. I'm currently double dipping from the extra enemies from summon, which gives me more coins, and I'm obviously getting the benefits, the multiple benefits we discussed with fetch. Like I just mentioned, the benefits of doing this allows you to sort of enable fetch alongside bounty or summon. It improves your farming flexibility. It provides better return on investment overall, rather than just overleveling one specific chip. And the recommended pairings, basically you always want to have fetch equipped if you're in a farming setup, and either summon or bounty. There's debate about that, but I'm currently running summon. But fetch plus either bounty or summon for any of that would be the recommended pairings, at least for farming. Really quickly, let's just talk about some other considerations. So in terms of tournaments, like I mentioned a little bit ago, you want to make sure that you probably don't have the summon chip equipped. The only case scenario that you would want to use this is, like I mentioned, if you are using project funding and maybe you've just went super crazy on the cash bonus. But other than that, I don't really see a good use case for using summon in tournaments, so just keep that in mind. It could definitely hurt your tournament runs. You just have to keep in mind in terms of like tournaments definitely prefer stability over just farming efficiency. So like the coins that you're going to be getting from a tournament run are not worth the stones that you could be giving up if you perform not as good. So just keep that in mind. And now let's dive into some common mistakes in terms of the chips. So first and foremost is going to be over upgrading your fetch chip beyond the daily caps. So like we just discussed, the daily caps right here. You can see I currently am able to get all of them with this setup. It's not a huge downside if you do overinvest, because you still have a chance to get a lot of coins from it, and you get a chance to get some of this other stuff like module shards, which is also pretty good. But like I mentioned previously, you have an 86.5% chance of getting coins, so you honestly would be better off spending those excess bits on either summon or bounty to get more out of that. The second biggest mistake that people make is actually investing too much into summon early on when they don't yet have the survivability and means to basically deal with the extra enemies. That's a huge thing. And also leaving summon on for tournaments, that's a big thing as well. And the last mistake that I've seen some people do is actually invest in attack or ally instead of investing in these econ chips. These econ chips are just so good comparatively, so definitely try to maximize your coin income over getting, some extra damage or recovery packages. So in conclusion, efficient Guardian progression in the Tower Idol Tower Defense follows a clear structure. You want to get fetch first for the premium currency access. You want to get summon second for the scalable coin generation. Or if you would rather go down the bounty route, you can do that. I prefer summon personally, but yeah, you definitely can do bounty as well. And for attack and ally, you really just want to focus those last if you basically have nothing else to work on. And lastly, you want to make sure that you definitely get Guardian slots early on. So as soon as there is an available Guardian slot, try to get it as soon as you possibly can. Sort of like I mentioned, so that you can just double dip in terms of these econ chips versus, only having all of your investment in one. And the last thing I want to say really quickly about the guild content is just, how good of a system is this, right? It's a free-to-play thing where all of us get basically the same amount of rewards every single month. And this is really good, This is really good. We get coin multipliers, we get a lot of different stuff through the guilds. So I'm very happy with this system. And ultimately, I just hope that this video kind of added some clarity to the Guardian chips in particular. If you guys ever have any questions about the Guardian chips, feel free to drop a comment on this video. I try to respond to all of my comments, so feel free to do so if you'd like. Likewise, you can join our Discord server, hit the link in the video description, and we're constantly talking and sort of working through different things, helping out different players with different issues. So feel free to join the Discord if you'd like. And if you want to support me in my content creation, you can use my content creator code in the in-game app or web store. My creator code is code 300. It doesn't cost anything extra to you, and it basically just gives me a little bit off the top for anything that you purchase for the tower. Thank you guys for using my code so far. I really do appreciate it. And lastly, we do have YouTube memberships. I do a monthly giveaway for the YouTube members only. For the month of January, we did 4 event boosts for the YouTube members only. And likewise, we also do have the account reviews. I started a new series here on YouTube where I review people's accounts and sort of just give them my take on literally everything. Labs, modules, cards, freaking everything. So if you guys are interested in looking into the YouTube memberships, hit the join button below and you can feel free to look into that. But with that, that's going to conclude the contents of today's video. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And like always, I will see you guys later.